everybody. Today we're going to take a look at the elements of a plot arc. So in a quick overview here, we've got a couple elements. We've got the exposition, the inciting force, the rising action, the climax, the denouement, and the resolution. And the plot arc progresses in that order, and so that's why we've structured it that way. So the exposition is the start of the story. It gives background information about the setting, the characters, and the circumstances. So what things have happened before the story starts. So for example, a long time ago in a galaxy far away, we've got the setting being established there. Luke Skywalker, we've got a main character, was working for his uncle, so the circumstances of what his life is like, but he wanted to explore the world. So we've got a bit of an idea of who this person is, where they are, what they're up to. The inciting force is the moment that starts the conflict and sets the rising action in motion. So for example, if you're walking down the street and all of a sudden you get punched in the face, there's the start of a conflict. That's where the rising action really starts to take off. So the rising action obviously would come next. The rising action is a series of events that make the conflict more tense. So for example, you can think of the short story, the one about Coyote going west by Thomas King. You've got Coyote falls into a hole. So there's one event that makes the situation more tense. Coyote escapes and wanders the world. The situation is progressing. The conflict of Coyote trying to create the world is progressing towards its resolution, towards the climax. Coyote runs into her nemesis, and so forth. So all of those things that are events in the story that progress the plot somehow, those are part of the rising action. They also lead up to what's called the climax, which is the most tense part of the story. So at the climax, we still don't know how the conflict is going to end. It's a little uncertain, and we feel worry for how the character is going to resolve the situation, or if it's going to be resolved. So for example, if you've got Batman standing face to face with the Joker, both have their weapons drawn on each other, they stand there, they're making eye contact, and they're both ready to attack at any moment. And moreover, you know that one of them is not going to leave the fight alive. That would be the climax of the story, that tense moment where you don't know how things are going to turn out. Then we come to the denouement, which is French for basically what translates to the unknotting. So the unknotting, or the denouement, is when all of the problems that have been building start to resolve themselves. It starts to come untied. It starts to solve the conflict. So all of the events here make the conflict less tense. We know how the conflict is likely to be resolved, though we don't know for sure. And note that even if it's the denouement, the falling action, things can still get worse for the hero here if the villain wins. So say we've got Batman and the Joker in that climax where they're about to fight each other, and then the Joker presses the detonator for his poison gas bomb, and Batman starts to choke. And that's still part of the falling action, because the conflict is soon to be over, even though it's not going well for the hero. Of course, all of this leads to the resolution, and that's the story's conclusion. So the conflict will end for better or for worse. So even if it ends unhappily, the conflict is still over, so the situation is resolved. And the resolution lets us know about how things are for the characters involved now that the conflict is ended. So we get some sense of how things turn out for them as well. So those are the elements of the plot arc, and if you need to review, just go into my gradebook and do the practice quiz of literary terms, and test out your knowledge, see how it goes. Alright, good luck.